at a business level, if I was a CEO or a board director, I'd be absorbing these insights, and I'd naturally be then looking to cast my eye internally to say, how does our organisation look relative to these insights? Because if these insights reflect our organisation, then there's some really clear work-ons we need to be focused on. And so I'd be trying to get my hands on a bit of a diagnostic of my business to understand how we sit. And then I'd want to use the data from that process to inform the priorities and the investment that I make to improving harm reduction outcomes, improving business performance, as a result of improving our safety culture maturity. At a sector level, and in fact at a country level, it's more or less the same, except we're using more aggregated data to drive that same process. So if I'm and we have Safe365 has a strong alignment in the airport and aviation industry. If I'm in that industry, I'm looking at the data and I'm saying, what are our collective strengths and weaknesses? Where are the things we should be collectively focused on? And how do we use that data to drive sector and industry collaboration so that we can actually work on solutions collectively that improve our industry? Because much like an individual business is trying to attract that worker and retain that worker and look after that worker, so too our whole industry and sector steering groups, etc., who are trying to attract that talent and look after them and develop out their industry. And then at a whole of country level, and there's some real statistical kind of validity in behind the sheer breadth of data we have here, and so at a country level, it's also saying, have we, are there things in these insights? Have we got our national health and safety strategy calibrated? Have we actually got, I suppose, this lead data set that we've been able to capture and share with the market? Have we considered those in our national strategy, or are there things we could be adapting to focus on some of these areas? Practical example, for example, a company directors. Now, most countries, in fact, I think in all sort of developed countries, you need a driver's license to drive a vehicle on road. And you think of the risk of that, there's obviously a risk to yourself or your family that might be driving in that car with you, and potentially other road users that you might impact on if you make an error, or there's some other cause for that accident. But if I'm a company director, I could have tens, hundreds, even thousands of workers under my authority, and I have decision-making power that can have a drastic impact on the lives of those people. Yet there's no driver's license equivalent from a health and safety perspective to be in those roles. Yet the impact that they can make is by far more significant and impactful on people and safety outcomes for those people. So I think for me the most powerful thing in this report are for business leaders, even more so than safety professionals, but also safety professionals. For business leaders, people that have the ability to influence entire systems from a health and safety perspective, to recognise where the opportunities are for improvement to reduce harm. And it's not in generally creating more regulations and rules. It's got a lot to do with focusing on people, building capability, so that people can make the right decisions when they're faced with risk.
So I think one of the really interesting things, if you get a whole bunch of safety professionals together, particularly leaders, where we've got this constant healthy challenge on smaller budgets, limited resource, massive organisations, etc. I think this report really allows people to build strategies for their organisations, their sectors, whatever it is, and say, actually, I know where to prioritise my resource, my time, my investment, etc. And I can really see also where the low-hanging fruit is. Where are we almost there as a sector, as a professional, as a business? And where can I just do some really small, incremental but meaningful things to just drive it forward to that next level of maturity? So I think it's absolutely going to allow us to prioritise, should make the investment and the decision-making process easier, because you're able to look through that report, and especially if you're using the incredible tool, which is the Safe365 tool, it should be giving you all of your areas where you need to focus and concentrate, and really vitally, where you have health, lovely areas of green, you can say, do you know what, in my next 2-year strategy, I'm going to leave those greens out. I'm going to really focus on my amber and my reds. So I think the tool in itself and the report should give everybody a really good ability to dig in and say, this is my apex of action, this is where I can be meaningful and get the most bang for my buck.
Opportunities that I really saw was particularly where those lower performing sectors, it's worth reflecting on the impact of what their collective safety culture may have on their workforce and their clients and their broader reputation. It can have its downsides, meaning that you're not just attracting the best talent, you're potentially dissuading potential clients. And there's some sectors where that cost proposition is really obvious. For example, tourism, where destinations or parts of the tourism sector can be affected by really single incidents. And the rising tide of a safety culture collectively across a sector or a destination can be collectively beneficial. This is where I see benchmarking across sectors and through supply chains and across systems, ecosystems can be really beneficial. Tourism's one of those leading sectors in the data, and it's no surprise given how critical a success factor a good safety record is to their long-term sustainability. So not only does benchmarking safety culture help benefit your business, but it can help create value across the whole sector.
This Insights report is fundamental to helping decision makers, irrespective of what level you're at and where you're at, whether it's at a business level, whether it's at a sector level, or whether it's at a government level. That the data that's inside this Insights report should be helpful for various stakeholders to understand where the strengths and where the weaknesses are in the safety ecosystem.
Well, I think in the Australian landscape, this report's really challenging the notion of our traditional compliance focus. In Australia, we do have a pretty strong compliance focus. We don't like the idea of the nanny state, but we do have a very regulated culture. I think compliance can have that normative effect, particularly when it's coupled with low director and management appreciation for the benefits of exceeding those minimum regulatory standards, tapping into the value associated with more proactive safety cultures. And I say that with caution because while regulations clearly have their place and they've helped raise the tide to an average systemic culture across many countries, not just Australia, they do work to a point. But we could explore some more novel public policy approaches and ways to incentivise positive and proactive safety cultures. For regulators and insurers with influence over their systems, there's opportunities to consider utilising more lead indicators, such as safety culture benchmarking, into policies and narratives, so that while there's always a place to focus on high-risk sectors, there could also be some greater recognition and support for high-performing sectors, just to balance out that narrative.
So I think one of the really interesting things, if you get a whole bunch of safety professionals together, particularly leaders, where we've got this constant healthy challenge on smaller budgets, limited resource, massive organisations, etc. I think this report really allows people to build strategies for their organisations, their sectors, whatever it is, and say, actually, I know where to prioritise my resource, my time, my investment, etc. And I can really see also where the low-hanging fruit is. Where are we almost there as a sector, as a professional, as a business? And where can I just do some really small, incremental but meaningful things that just drive it forward to that next level of maturity? So I think it's absolutely going to allow us to prioritise, should make the investment and the decision-making process easier, because you're able to look through that report. And especially if you're using the incredible tool, which is the Safe365 tool, it should be giving you all of your areas where you need to focus and concentrate. And really vitally, where you have health, lovely areas of green, you can say, do you know what, in my next 2-year strategy, I'm going to leave those greens out. I'm going to really focus on my amber and my reds. So I think the tool in itself and the report should give everybody a really good ability to dig in and say, this is my apex of action, this is where I can be meaningful and get the most bang for my buck.